I know, where we look
I'm picking the little
you're going to have
here
to
and
zoom
there.
in. Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to do like a little sort of close in so people, because they won't be seeing this. You can't see this, and it's been driving us crazy.
I've literally been like...
Effect. Look, this, you see? See, it's been like... There we go.
Hi there, welcome. My name is Bim, and this is Kiss and Spill, where we talk all things theatre and performance. And today I'm joined with the lovely Viv Harris, aka Minnie Monotone, aka Lizard Boy, aka everyone's favourite aunt. So thank you for coming. First thing, I thought we'd just do a check-in. How are you today?
I'm not doing too badly. The sun is shining and it's warm.
Yes. I mean, it's incredibly warm in here as well. Considering it's like usually really, really cold in here, but today it's extremely warm. But I'm happy that it's warm. How does it feel being back in here? Because
it's been, well, I've been in here twice this year, and it was just amazing to come back, and it's really nice to be back again, just to be in a studio theatre space.
That's why I wanted to film it in here as well. And when I got in, I literally had a little dance in here with my headphones.
No, the happy dog!
Because I was like, it's just me, no one's watching me, I could dance, I could play around, and it was just really fun. But it was really good. It's really good to be back in here. Have you been out to eat since the world opened? Have you been out to eat in a restaurant? Been to the pub?
Twice.
Been to
I
the
lied.
pub?
Twice. No, not to the pub. We've eaten outside a really nice place that does Spanish and Portuguese stuff.
Oh,
which
okay.
was really lovely.
Ooh.
And then also my big son's actually getting married in the summer.
You mentioned.
And so we went to where they're going to have the wedding.
To have a look at it.
Yeah, which was really lovely. Yeah.
The air supply for a year and a bit now.
Yeah.
How do you think it's been going for you?
Oh, it's been so
enjoyed the
valuable.
process?
Yeah, really, really valuable process. Just to sort of keep in touch, you know, because we were sort of like, you know, ripped from the womb.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
and it's been like an umbilical cord.
Yeah.
That sort
To
of
get
kept-
back. Yeah. It's all-
And also just talking to other performers and other creatives and feeling like it was such a mutual support network.
Yeah.
It didn't feel, it really felt tender and nurturing and caring within a be and I think that was...
Have you been noticing anything different since like lockdown's easing now, or is it just like you're still when it could be confined to?
Oh, it's complicated. I mean, I really feel like, you know, that people should, you know, a lot of people want to be able to get out and about, but at the same time I'm really scared of it still.
But you have been vaccinated twice.
I've been vaccinated twice. It's more that I would give it to somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody who hasn't been vaccinated
Right.
yet.
Right.
But yeah, let's not even go there, but it's too complicated.
In terms of like performance making, what is there any like manifesto you have for yourself, or how do you go into it?
I suppose it's usually that I want to tell a story of some sort, and sometimes it might not be a straightforward story, but yeah, there's always some impulse behind, some narrative, something that needs to be said, and that goes from, you know, I've probably wrote my first play when I was about 7.
7? Oh my.
So, you know, we're talking more than 50
I'm
years
still learning
ago.
how to ride a bike at 7. I was like, how do I get on this bike? And you're writing a play at 7.
Well, no, but in pencil and telling my friends,
Okay.
yes, you can be the princess and I'll be the tree.
Last time we were talking, you were talking about how it's taken you a while to actually identify yourself as an artist. Would you say you're like more confident at describing yourself as an artist now that you feel like the academic side of things are done, or do you feel like you needed to like...
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also I think because I'd come into theatre through being an actor and being a television presenter, the idea of, you know, being an artist felt a bit sort of bombastic almost, you know, or a bit sort of, oh, look at me. Whereas because most of the stuff that I've done I have also devised or written, that is, I have made it. And it was sweet actually talking back to friends back in New Zealand who I was at school with.
Right.
And they said, yeah, but Viv, you were always an artist. But I think it's sometimes harder for women to take that label on. And also I'm not very good at drawing. So, you know, when I was young, my mum said, you know, when I said I was going to do a BA, and she's like, but that's Bachelor of Arts. And I was like, yes. And she was, well, you can't draw. Because, you know, for our family, if you went to university, you become an accountant or an architect or something sensible.
But so you just decided to be rebellious and do your own thing, or was it something that just became nurtured into you as you grew older?
No, I was lucky that I could do lots of theatre at school.
Right, okay.
And then, again, really lucky that I got work in television when I was quite young. So I did some fronting and some comedy, and the band I had went on the telly. And then I got my own show, a kids show.
Oh, wow.
Which again I was writing, because one of the reasons I got it was because I was quite sciencey. And it was called Sea Things, and it was about animals and stuff by the seaside. And that gave me an opportunity then, I think, to feel confident on camera. And about that same time, no, a little bit after that, I then got work in the professional theatre in my town as well. So I think we were lucky in New Zealand in some ways that there weren't that many people. So you tended to know each other and get opportunities through that.
Oh, that's nice. And I haven't been to New Zealand yet, but you have said you are going to take us on the Doctor Tour and take us to New Zealand. I'm still waiting on that day.
We just have to make show that we, you know,
and take it on the road, and New Zealand will be our first stop. And then we'll go around. But yeah, I definitely want to go. You DJ. Which is something that I absolutely love, and we obviously enjoyed, like, prior to lockdown, coming to the Mermaid pub. Would we say a pub? Was it a pub or a bar?
Yeah, at Captain Pond.
At Captain Pond, and we love coming there on Thursday nights to see you DJ, like all your other friends. So obviously that's been denied from us. But have you been back since it's opened?
No, not as yet. We're still doing it online.
Still doing it online, yeah.
And so we record our sets. Have to be vinyl, has to be 7-inch, and then we send them in and somebody puts them all together. But we're hoping that we might be able to find, like, you know, somewhere outside
that would be really nice.
As well.
How did you get into DJing?
Funnily enough, it was through another New Zealand friend, the New Zealand Mafia, and they'd set up a DJ night, and I couldn't make the first session, so I went along to the second session, and Mike was, oh, I'm so glad you're here because you're DJing. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, because I really want to have a woman DJ every single time we do this. And the person who I thought was going to be able to do that, they can't do it. So here you go.
Nice.
And I was a bit like,
so you just got thrown in the deep end?
Yeah, literally, that was that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but then when I was young, it was a bit sort of, I mean, obviously I played vinyl, but a lot of people were very sensitive about their decks. And, you know, no, you can't turn it. So it was really nice to be able to play with it, and because I've done lighting and other techie stuff, it's actually quite straightforward going from one deck to another. And I've known Mike since forever, so we have similar music tastes. So I was able to go through his little 7-inch collection and pull out, I think, some psychic TV and some heavy
doing a cabaret night as well. So how's music really impacted your work in that way, in terms of performance making, as opposed to like DJing? How will you be able to transfer that into your cabaret night?
I think music's always been really important as part of my performance side. And I think what I wanted to do with the cabaret, and why I called it Cosy, was to try and bring in some stuff that felt a bit light after all of this. Now that doesn't mean, you know, there's still going to be some bits in it that are a bit more poignant or a little bit darker maybe, but I think one of the things that I love about cabaret is that it can, as we were just talking about earlier, embrace a load of different musical styles. And some silliness. And I think it's that silliness I want to try and find as well, because we've all had to be pretty serious for quite a long time. And if we can do stuff that's just light and a bit, you know, off the wall, that's what and I think that actually does link my performance making throughout my life, actually, because So Minnie came about from being, I'm doing this because this is one of her costumes.
It is.
And look, it's molting at the moment. It's so funny. But I became Minnie, and I called the band Minnie and the Monotones.
Yes.
Because a lot of actors at that time, New Zealand women actors, back in the, we all sort of sang jazz. And I love jazz, and I love singing it, but we were doing a fundraiser for Actors Equity. And everybody, as I say, all the women were going to be singing a jazz song. And I thought, do you know what? I also love 60s music. Why don't we do a sort of 60s, you know, slight mock, you know, thing? And yeah, she's sort of stayed part of my repertoire ever since. But she comes through various, so initially Minnie Monotone, with a very broad New Zealand accent. And then I used that for the DJ handle. But then last year when I was doing satire, I sort of transferred her into Minifred Dark, who is this ex-performer, now contract killer. Although she may have to go from the contract killing back into performing. Yeah. Because of course, a lot of people have died already, and all you've got to do is get someone to sneeze on them, and much cheaper than me. Yeah. You know, although I'm much tidier. You are. Sometimes it's useful for the people in my family to know what I do for a living. My cousin's kids, for example. Auntie Manifred, do you really kill people for a living? I say, yes. Yes, I do. Some people are vermin. And killing vermin is a service.
And that's the thing I was going to say about Minnie. She does, the dynamic changes depending on what she's talking about. Because obviously you talk about affirmative action in some of the videos that you've made, about the pandemic and how, like, you know, what's that thing called again?
Herd immunity.
Herd immunity.
The plan. The herd immunity plan is unfolding well, despite the British public staying home far more than we thought they would. Who knew? Death figures still ticking along nicely, sorting the wheat from the chaff. The diabetics, the asthmatics, the obese, awfully expensive in the long term. And don't talk to me about the elderly. We don't want the price we get for the NHS to be compromised by expensive expendables. Now, I'm useful to get rid of 1 or 2 people at a time. If you get someone to clean up after me, I'll go up to 12. Otherwise it gets tedious. Besides, I'm not that morally bankrupt. 12 is a nice biblical number. DC is going to have to get better. It's staying in the background. I'm giving him lessons. Mr. G might not have King of the World in his sights just at the moment, but I think he wants to step up eventually. Planners, keep the powder dry. Give a heart-rendingly sincere apology for all of the deaths. Possibly. Sometime. Maybe at an unspecified point in the future. And of course, keep dropping the blame on the science. Herd immunity chunters along while we disguise the dead people figures behind the good news that dry cleaners and tattoo parlours are reopening. Yay. Herd immunity strategy, all good. Morally bankrupt, bank balance, fine.
really? There must be something that really gives her the edge to like, I want to show up today. I have something to say. Is she waiting for the next news to come out, or is it just like talking from experience, or how does what makes me? Why does she decide to show up? What triggers her?
I think superfluous show-off genes.
Right. I mean, based on the costume and the jewels, I think
but you've sort of hit the nail on the head as well, though, when you've said, something in the news. So yes, there were various things that would come up in the news last year, and I would just feel I had to say something. But then, interestingly, I also had to put her away to a certain extent because I was just getting too angry, and dark, which then led to me writing a song in Spanish for her to sing. Which, again, I've never written a song apart from Little Things for my kids in my life. I've always done covers. And the things I've written for my kids were like, one hippopotamus, two hippopotamus, we're not talking, not Joni Mitchell by any means. But
don't underestimate yourself.
Well, it was really funny, though, how singing and writing this thing in Spanish to talk about a friend who died was actually another side of Minnie that hadn't come out.
Right.
And I think the Minnie character, sometimes for me, there's a larger than lifeness. But there's also a bit of a twisted pride in my original accent, because when I speak as Minnie, I'm going to put the coat on in a minute and we'll do a little Minnie.
Yes, of course, I'm looking forward to it.
When I sort of put the Minnie persona on, and it's funny because I can, walk around in the pearls and things, and these, but I put this on, which is obviously not real fur, so
not real fur. Don't come for her.
And it is quite hot, but it's quite interesting how almost immediately the accent comes out, and yet I've had people who say they can't hear the difference from when I talk like this and when I talk normal, and I don't get that, but that's just the way people are sometimes.
No, I hear it. How did you come up with the whole costume, like, for...
Well, when I first started performing in New Zealand in the 1980s, I had these magnificent pearls.
Oh wow, they're that long?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I mean, not that long, but you know what I mean.
No, I'm lying, but they were really small.
Okay.
They were really small.
They're inspired by...
They, and they sort of... And then in those days, I didn't have the sort of flobberty old eyelids, so I'd have, like, big cat's eye makeup. And I used to zoom the hair up a bit more.
Right.
But I had some proper 60s frocks. Because in those days you could still buy 60s frock from the opportunity shop, second-hand shop.
Yeah.
And I just loved that whole 60s style. I sort of wanted to be Sandy Shaw, or I wanted to be Emma Peel. Do you know, have you ever heard of Emma Peel?
I haven't heard of it.
Okay, you're going to have to find a little picture of Emma Peel, because she was this amazing spy. And that's what I wanted to be.
I have to look it up.
You do?
I have to look it up. I have to view it. I have to check it out. Yeah. So you've got two performances. You've got your a cabaret performance, which you're trying to get as much people as involved in that night as possible to just show a performance of theirs and put it onto a cabaret night for everyone to enjoy. What can you tell us a bit about that night?
Okay, I'm going to go back into Viv because Minnie's melting.
Yes. Minnie can take a break now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, it is hot. I put so much lotion on, and every time I cross my leg, it's just
Well, no, now you're going to get these little bits of fluff.
Oh, it's fine.
Anyway. So, with the cabaret, I really wanted to try and keep things about 2 minutes long.
Okay.
I mean, some will be up to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Not just because that's sort of the length of a single and a pop song, but it feels like that's often the length that we can hold our concentration at the moment in terms of online stuff. I'm looking forward absolutely to having some Queen Mary alumni.
Yes.
Not just from the master's course, but one of the performers did languages here a few years ago and has been a journalist before going back into music. So, and in fact, Mike, who was the person who set me off on the DJ thing. His name is Mike Hodgson. He not only has a band called Pitch Black, which is not the American Pitch Black, but a New Zealand Pitch Black, who did music for Whale Rider, the film, and a lot of stuff. He also has a solo music project called Misled Convoy. And so he and a really interesting producer called Uncle Festus, they've given us a track to use, which is really nice. Erin, who was on our Masters, has given us a couple of ukulele tracks, which are really beautiful. But we've also got a really interesting performer from Cornwall, who does this wonderful thing about a banshee who loses her scream. And I know the other things people have to watch to see.
I mean, it's on the, do you remember what date it's on?
16th of June.
It's on the 16th of June. You can also check it out. We'll put all the link below. In the
7 till 9 p.m, 16th of June.
That's right.
Cosy, Fanny, Tooty.
Yes, get your glass of wine or popcorn or whatever you want and come and join us on the 16th of June at 7 to 9. I'm going to play a quick game.
Okay.
This game is just called Think Fast. So I'm going to read
Happy to think fast. Yeah.
And you just have to say anything that comes into mind.
Okay.
Yeah? It's just couple of sentences, not even sentences, maybe like short sentences, okay? So the ready?
Yep.
All right. What can I buy for £1?
Half a pound of butter.
How heavy is a duck?
Heavier than a hen and lighter than a goose.
Tell me a secret.
No.
Do you know, I think in my mind, I was like, she's going to say no. But I'm going to try anyway. The secret is too long for me to tell you.
I'll tell you a secret
no.
off camera.
Off camera. Name the best place.
Home.
A better name for the Beatles.
The aphids.
The what?
The aphids. You know, like the little green fly?
Yes. Oh.
Don't know where that came from.
I like that. How many people are there in New Zealand?
4.5 million, I think. Nearly 5 million now.
Oh. What's a cool greeting?
Kia ora.
I put that one in just so you can say that. Just for you. And then sing me a song.
Stupid Cupid, you're a real mean guy. I'd like to clip your wings so you can't fly. I'm in love and it's a crying shame. And you have to come to the Cabaret to hear more.
You're going to have to, yes. Thank you so much, Viv, for coming in and speaking to me about your Cabaret performance and everything that's going to be going on in our air supply / people in the palace. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Bye.